I don't think it works to have an operating model that needs people to be working intensely, under pressure, at speed for scores of hours in a week, for decades.
Half of lawyers have felt anxiety in the last year, and a third would not recommend law as a career. I don't think I could honestly say definitely become a lawyer.
When I'm speaking to senior leaders, this is on their minds, definitely.
It's kind of up and out, burn through the associates, leave a few left standing, and there you've got your next leadership.
We talk a lot about NQ salaries, and those have gone, up exponentially. They have not gone up as exponentially as partner drawings. And what I am hearing is that some of the behaviour that previously in organisations would not be happening is now being unleashed. That's the lawyer you don't want to unleash.
Don't unleash that lawyer. That lawyer needs to stay leashed. Today, I sit down with Patrick McCann, CEO of the City of London Law Society and co-CEO of City Century, supporting fairer access to the legal profession. Trigger warning, this isn't a comfortable conversation. Patrick questions whether the law firm business model actually works, who it really benefits, and what it costs the people inside it. He's clear he's speaking as himself in his own capacity, and he's also clear that saying this out loud matters. This is an insider from the very top, asking questions the profession usually avoids. You quoted a recent LawCare report which said that half of lawyers have felt anxiety in the last year. More than half don't see themselves in their role in the next 5 years, and a third would not recommend law as a career.
Yeah, so you've got a real talent pipeline issue going on there, haven't you? They might be coming in less. Arguably with AI, we might need fewer. I'm not sure I necessarily ascribe to that yet. We're damaging them. Maybe there's
just a tiny bit.
There might be something going on there, and then we're losing them, right? So that's a talent pipeline. When I'm speaking to senior leaders, this is on their minds, definitely. There is a business reason, right, that we need to be really careful around that and make sure that we're doing that right. You need to have really amazing people come in. You need to make sure they can work really, really efficiently, and it makes no economic sense for them to leave, early or unhappily or ill. That doesn't keep your business model working and humming along as it needs to. The discretionary effort can't get released. The institution memory can't stay if that's what's going on. So there's a real business.
That is what's been going on for such a long time in so many of the law firms, right? It's kind of up and out. You burn out at a certain point, and actually you only need so many partners. So that's fine. Burn through the associates, leave a few left standing, and there you've got your next leadership.
Well, Helen, I appreciate your voice, and I appreciate that you're out there saying it, and that is one of the reasons I love you. You're slightly less shackled than some of us might be. I think through the Law Society, I have a duty definitely to represent my firms. I think I also have a duty to represent the lawyers and the others working in those law firms. And I also think that we as a society have a duty on things like ethics, rule of law and stuff. So I'm welcoming your voices, and I'm welcoming generally the voices of people who are saying this is what's going on. And I think the work of LawCare, both in terms of the data that they're getting, but also just the work that they're doing and the work that the Solicitors Charity is doing, is astounding, because they are saying there's a thing here that needs to be done, and we are helping to do that. And I'm determined that organisations like the City of London Law Society will work more closely with those people, because we should be doing that. Would I, on a piece of paper, on a napkin, say, here's a really good way of running a really profitable business and an ethical one? I'm not sure I would have designed it exactly as it's been designed. I do think there are some changes happening. It is being called out more. There are policies in place. There is more in the press and the media around it. The generations that are coming in and the generations that have been, I would say, maybe damaged are speaking out about it more. You have an incredibly, I think, influential voice. You are speaking for a lot of people, and that means the conversations happen. So I am hopeful that with some motivation, persuasion, influence, that we will move into a better place. I don't know quite how we do that, and make the profits and run the businesses and work for the clients and execute the matters that are sort of necessary for the business model as it's currently stood. I think it doesn't work by increasing remuneration, profits and salaries relentlessly.
What is the way to work?
So I will notice a few things. I need to say I'm speaking as myself. I'm not speaking having run this through the City of London Law Society main committee or anything. And I'm speaking on the basis of having worked in 5 law firms, having taught in the gym of a 6th law firm for 20 years, and having friends who are lawyers, having been in the system and all of that stuff. I don't think it works to have an operating model that needs people to be working intensely, under pressure, at speed for scores of hours in a week, for decades. I cannot see how that's going to keep anybody healthy, or that it keeps them working at the level you need them to. So I think at some point we need to go, how can we change what we need to be an output? If the output is, I need this sort of profit, how can we negotiate around that? Do we need to have partners that are on several million pounds a year? Do we need to be doing this sort of work? Do we need to be, does our cost base need to be so high that that's what we need to generate? I notice we talk a lot about NQ salaries, and those have gone up exponentially. They have not gone up as exponentially as partner drawings. And so I think that's a conversation that's worth having. I certainly have some partners saying, I feel uncomfortable, the sum that I'm taking and what needs to happen in order for that to be taken out. So I would love that to be a conversation. I think for me, the workforce would do well to, insofar as it can, without damaging its career, speak up more. I would be interested to see more representative bodies that represent the voice of city solicitors. I'm not immediately seeing what that body is. I'd quite like City of London Law Society to explore that a bit more. And then I think it's about leadership, clients signing up to if this is what needs to happen, this is what we're going to promise to do. And that feels like a code of conduct. It feels like best practice guidelines. It feels like consequences happening if you do or don't. Feels like to me. And I will point to, other industries, entertainment, politics, finance, sports, where there have been changes, and which in theory and maybe even in practice have meant that there's a better, more healthier, still workable solution going forward. And I think those are conversations that we will need to have a lot. I see this close hand because I'm bringing people into the industry through some of the work that I've done through City Century, the solicitor apprentice thing, through Swissquif, the fund that I've set up for legal aid lawyers, and other work. I think I'm probably responsible for bringing about 200 people into the legal industry every year. And so I have a vested interest in making sure that what I'm bringing them into is something that works. When I was coming up, every lawyer would tell you, come into this industry. You wouldn't have 30% saying don't.
I don't think I could honestly say definitely become a lawyer. I
am saying that now, and I'll tell you why I'm saying it. So if I think of the 3 areas where I'm particularly saying this, so one is, I set up a thing called Queer City Law Career, which was the 5 quote magic circle firms reaching out to the LGBT community and saying, come in. I'm doing that because I'm saying you should be able to do this. You should not select yourself out. With City Century, I'm going to underrepresented communities, mainly low SEB, and saying you should feel that you can have this life. I don't want you to self-select out. So that's what I'm trying to do there. With young legal aid lawyers, with that fund, which we've now raised nearly 1.7 million and over 150 people will be qualified. 5 qualified yesterday, maybe even 10, which is really exciting. I'm saying to them, I need you to come into the industry to deliver access to justice to the most vulnerable people in society. So for me, I'm saying it for that reason, right? You're either getting an opportunity that you didn't have, or you're going to be doing something really purposeful. Could I say to a middle-class person who has other options, come into this industry, it'll be brilliant? Possibly not, but they have other options. And maybe the work isn't going to be purposeful and other people wouldn't do it if they didn't do it. God, now I'm going to have a whiskey and really think about this.
I should have brought some whiskey with me, shouldn't I?
Except
Here's the bottle.
Except I don't drink brown alcohol, but you know what I mean.
I'll bring some wine in a...
Yeah, wine and vodka will do, not together.
Just pausing for a second to ask a small favour. This is a brand new podcast, and every follow, review or share helps more than you know. It means I can create more episodes, bring on more top guests and thought leaders, and share the secret lessons and tools that help you build influence, find purpose, and create a career and life you actually jump out of bed for. If that speaks to you, please hit subscribe. It really does make a difference. Now, back to the episode.
I hear what you're saying, because I never came from money. I never came from a background where anyone was lawyers. The whole thing was completely intimidating to me. I nearly didn't get into law, and I was terrified for the first few years of my career.
But you got the offer. You got that last offer.
But it was
hard.
the last one of the whole summer. And I honestly, I think that would have been it for me. I'd gone through about 50 applications, all these interviews. And ironically, it's the one where I said, fuck it, excuse my French. But I was like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm just going to turn up here and do my best. And that was the one where I got the offer, because that's how it works, right? It's when you don't care as much. But the interesting thing about what you're saying is that you're wanting these people from these various different backgrounds, people who are perhaps less privileged, people who wouldn't get into law, to say, you should have a seat at that table, so why not go for it? But then aren't they subject to the same fate, ultimately, as the people who do have the options? Because once you get there, it's bloody difficult. And not only is it difficult, there are so many challenges. But if you're from a minority, or you're from a background who doesn't traditionally fit in, it's hard.
Yeah, no, look, and I agree. I think where I've got to, and maybe I've only got there in this conversation, is that on balance, the good of them being able to have that opportunity, to me at least, is outweighing the negative of what might happen. And if I look at the negative of what might happen, I am hopeful, because we're now bringing in numbers that are sufficient to make a bit of a difference, culturally, societally, structurally. And we are bringing in talent that is, they're outspoken, they are performing really well, and they are being noticed and listened to. In my day, I'm pretty sure, when I joined, there were maybe 40, 50 that joined. I might have been one of 2 or 3 that were state schooled. I remember the work group that I joined as a first seat trainee tittering because the suit wasn't right. I think I'd bought the suit from Next or something, and my mum had taken me. It was a really exciting day for us to buy a suit, right? And it had been hemmed too short. I didn't know what length. I didn't know you're supposed to have a break in the trousers or what have you. And they had laughed at me. I'd heard it, right? And I had it confirmed to me 20, 30 years later. In fact, the person who said it to me, I'm very close friend, she was laughing about it, going, I remember you with the suit. I was like, I don't know if you remember, Kathy, but that's really hurtful, right? Because what you're laughing at is the fact that I haven't got the knowledge that you have, because I haven't had the money that you've had in order to have those experiences that give you that knowledge. Did I say it to her, or did I imagine? Or maybe I imagined I said it to her.
I feel like you'd have told her.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, I'm telling you now. So I think that would be less tolerated than it was now. And I see people in the industry, Ben Morton at DLA Piper, I see Joanna Hughes, I see Joe Gubby, I see Joe Farmer at Lewis Silkin, I see Sam Brown at Herbert Smith Freehills, I see David Martin and others at Linklaters, and Susanna Cameranda at Palace. I see enough people that are now showing you a different way. And so I'm hopeful that things will happen. But what I will not say is come into this industry, it's all unicorns and rainbows and confetti cannons.
I feel like your office would look like that, though.
Oh, I was going to say, that is my office. But you can find a bit of a space for yourself, and there is access to support if you want it to, and there are enough decent people that you can go to. But look, my responsibility is to get people into the industry. What I do worry about is that the support, the spaces, the development programs, the networks appear to be being less supported in the last 10 months or so than they were. That worries me. Like taking around that scaffolding around someone who needs it because they are pioneering in what they're doing, that worries me.
Why the last 10 months? Is this since Trump?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me to be a lawyer unleashed or a former lawyer unleashed in relation to that. But I think it's fair to say that, what I am picking up is that providing the scaffolding around people that might need the scaffolding in order to survive, thrive, be alive, and move up the system is more difficult. So that is a concern for me. And I fundamentally believe a lot of those programs need to be there. And I have heard that some of the behaviours, which gets you into an HR room and that gets you, that's not acceptable. That seems to be being a bit more acceptable in places. And, what did we have a couple of days ago? We had an incident of someone, very senior on television saying, quiet piggy to
what does that mean?
It was a certain politician who you'll recognise because they're the most powerful person in the world, being asked a question that they didn't like by a journalist.
Right, okay.
And in response, those were the 3 words that it said to them. It was a woman, as it turns out. In any event, I don't think it's appropriate to say that to anyone. But that's happening in certain places in the world. And what I am hearing is that some of the behaviour that previously in organisations would not be happening is now being unleashed. That's the lawyer you don't want to unleash.
Don't unleash that lawyer. That lawyer needs to stay leashed.
Is being unleashed, yeah, more. And look, what I will say to any person that finds themselves in that situation in a city law firm, regardless of whether they're a member law firm of mine, I would very much want you to feel that you could talk to someone like me confidentially, and I can connect you with some people that can also provide you with some support. And generally, if you find that you need support, availing yourself of things like LawCare, the solicitors charity, is really important. You've got to look after yourself. Nothing happens without that. And I certainly went through various situations which I now realise have left me different from how I was, slightly less carefree. I wear things more heavily. I have constant adrenaline running through my system. Most of the time I have pins and needles because I'm running on this sort of not quite sure what's going to happen next. I would really want you to avail yourself of the stuff that I didn't avail myself of earlier. But that sort of bad behaviour we need not to be tolerating, for sure. If I end up getting sacked by the CLLS because I've done what I think is the right thing, I'm cool with that. I don't want to do anything that will breach what I'm supposed to be doing and all of that. But if, there are some certain things where you just want to speak out a little bit more, and that's what I should be able to do.
We absolutely need that. And I think what you're doing now is you're using your influence, you're using your seniority, your connections across the whole industry to join up with other powerful, influential, like-minded people and make a real and meaningful change on the legal sector and society more generally as well. And something else you said on LinkedIn was...
Me on LinkedIn. Oh, God,
I know, I've been stalking you just a tiny bit.
Right back at you. Yeah. I'm always the first one to comment on anything that
you are, actually.
I always pull out a quote and put it in quotation marks.
You do.
That's because I think what you're saying is really important and it deserves repeating.
Oh, well, that's so kind of you.
I can't remember that I told you this. I think this is when we first bonded, is where I was working at the time. I said to someone, have you seen Helen, Pamely on LinkedIn? They were like, oh, is she if you're not sure whether you're on partnership track, you're not. And that just the whole room was like, yes, that's Helen Pamely. She's saying it out loud. So I love that. Sorry, that's why I've got a girl crush on you. It's just you're not.
Well, the funny thing is, before I said that publicly, no one was saying it. I could say it now and it's not a big deal because I've said it before and other people have said it.
It was massive, right? It was massive. It was massive.
It was crazy. That was a really fun time for me. That was a fun point in time, shattering the illusions.
And you know what? Slightly differently, but my thing that shattered some is nails, right? I get so much positive attention, and also some people recoil and don't want to go near me, and that's fine. But just doing something as you speaking out is probably in your head simple. Me putting this on is simple, but it does have a reverberation.
So here, in terms of thinking about the people you now like to surround yourself with and who you make an impact with, you said, if you know me, you know I'm drawn to people with energy, with vision, with passion, with altruism, with tenacity, with chutzpah, with fun and with bounce back ability. Aside from your really great talent for words there.
I do like my words. I do like my words.
I was like, wow, I actually had to look up chutzpah before this. I now know what it means.
And I pronounce it chutzpah, and I don't know which one it is, but anyway.
You're probably right.
I'm probably not. I'm probably not. And they do say if someone mispronounces a word, you should know that's because they've read the word rather than happen to heard it from the rings at the end. And I love that, right? So I've mispronounced words and people have had a go at me and you're so stupid. I'm like, yeah, but that's because I read it. I actually read the word, right? So that was me finding it. So that's you, right? Going, so I don't know which one of us is pronouncing it right. Because we both because we both read the word, right? So neither of us knows.
Well, if anyone wants to tell us which one it is, that would be great.
Hashtag state school proud.
Yeah, literally. That's a prime example. It's like the Latin jokes, everything like that. It's just over your head. But so on that, who are these people you're drawn to? Why are these attributes that are so meaningful for you?
Yeah, I need to run off energy from other people, and I have a talent in finding those people. So if I were to name just a few of them, my City Century twin, Joanna Hughes. I've never met anyone like her. We've both agreed that's the same about each other, but we've both agreed we never want to meet anyone like each other again because it's too exhausting. But she's co-CEO of City Century, and she's absolutely driven about bringing in underrepresented communities through the solicitor apprentice system into the industry, and she inspires me every single day. We decided to do City Century, I kid you not, within about 30 seconds of meeting each other. Should we just do this? Should we make this happen for the city? And we went, yes. And we shook hands. Wow. It was as quick as that, right? Paul Leamy, who's just today or tomorrow retiring from Taylor Wessing, who is a council estate lad, worked his way up and is out there doing it for kids. And then there are just some people who are just fun and inspirational to be around. So being fantabulous and being really successful. Justin D'Agostino, who's a global managing partner at HSF Kramer, Out Gay Man. I've heard people say, I love this. He's never done this to me, but that he's walked into, I love this. Ta-da, I'm here.
I really hope that's true.
So there are people like that that just inhabit themselves and are so unequivocal. And then I just do like people that have had a bit of a story and bring their damage with them as well. And I do mean this seriously, Helen. You've changed me. You're one of the reasons I felt I could go out and not be in the firm I was at, as happy as I had been for quite a long time there. I would probably say that most of the people I get on with really well were probably not the coolest people at school, and were probably not the UK equivalent of homecoming king and homecoming queen, or the quarterback and the head of the cheerleading squad.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was definitely a quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. So those, let's call them nerds and weirdos, we're taking over the world, I think, and I love that because there's a real power from being the outsider, the outsider outline, and just coming in and going, no, I'm in the room now. And I'm going to make this room a place where everyone can feel welcome.
Thanks for listening to Lawyer Unleashed and for being a part of this community. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend who you think would benefit. And just FYI, this conversation is off the record.